Welcome to Atlanta Community Profiles, a show about living in Atlanta. Atlanta Community Profiles is hosted by Lou Whelan, who will talk to experts who know this ever-changing city and its real estate industry. We'll talk to mayors, community leaders, and commercial and residential real estate experts. And now, here's Lou Whelan with this week's Atlanta Community Profiles.
Hello there and welcome to our show. My name is Lou Whelan. I publish the official relocation guides on Atlanta that are distributed by the First Multiple Listing Service of Atlanta. We have 5 publications, one for the metro area, one for Gwinnett County, published in partnership with the Gwinnett Chamber of Commerce, one for North Fulton in partnership with the North Fulton Chamber of Commerce, one for Cobb County in partnership with the Cobb Association of Realtors, one for Inside 285. They are available in all the real estate brokerage firms and chambers of commerce at no charge. Stop in and pick up a free copy. They're also on my website, AtlantaCommunityProfiles.com, along with a great deal of other information about Atlanta. And I'm also a realtor with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Georgia Properties. If I can help you with any of your commercial real estate needs, I'd be happy to help you. I focus primarily with multifamily housing. And my website for that is LouWhelan, WIELAND.com. And every week we interview community leaders, and it is a great honor to welcome back to our show Douglas R. Hooker, Executive Director of the Atlanta Regional Commission. Great to have you back, Doug. It's a great honor to have some time with you, and I appreciate the time that you're allocating to be on the show.
Well, thank you, Lou. Thanks for having me back. It's great to be with you again.
Thank you for your service to the community, Douglas. I know you work hard. You do have a tremendous amount of stress and responsibility. And first, I'd like to just introduce you to some of our people and then ask you to tell people about the ARC and what kind of just a definition. Sure. And Douglas is Executive Director. It's the official planning organization for the 10-county area, but 20-county area in some respects.
In some respects.
Such as transportation.
Correct.
The Regional Planning Authority, and he will elaborate, obviously, on that, exactly what he does. He oversees regional planning programs in the areas of transportation, community development, land use, water and natural resources, aging services, and workforce development, and much more. Doug holds a Bachelor of Mechanical Engineering degree and a Master of Science in Technology and Science Policy from Georgia Tech, as well as an MBA from Emory Consuelos Business School. He's married to Patrice Perkins Hooker. In his spare time, he likes playing in a community band, composing music, reading, and spending time with his grandchildren. He's been on the boards of a great number. He is now and has been on the boards of many, many corporations and organizations, too numerous to name. But so let's just leave it there instead of going to 30 different boards that the director would be here on the show. I'll introduce you. So the Atlanta Regional Commission.
Atlanta Regional Commission. We are one of 12 regional commissions in the state of Georgia that are chartered by the state to coordinate long-range planning and development for our respective territories. With regard to the Atlanta region, we have a basic responsibility for working with the 10 counties, the city of Atlanta, and the other 73 cities that are in the 10-county area to try to help knit together their land use and development plans into a meaningful strategic fabric. That's our basic mission. We also are responsible with several federal and state designations for a number of other things, which include transportation planning, and that's a 20-county area that we work with, and over 100 cities there. Water resource planning, and we do that as the staff for the Metropolitan North Georgia Water Planning District, a different board than my ARC board, a lot of overlap, but we're their staff. So that's 15 counties, 55 water utilities, 92 plus cities, thereabouts. So long-range water management and supply, water conservation. We also coordinate aging services under the Older Americans Act for the 10-county area. So we work with each of the 10 counties and their designated senior services support organization to help deliver things like Meals on Wheels, congregate meals meals that are eaten in places like senior centers or churches or things like that, and supporting that kind of activity, as well as not only for aging but also disabled people. And then we do workforce development on behalf of 7 of the 10 counties in the region. A lot of things. And the last thing I'll mention is actually the most recent part of our portfolio. We currently have been asked to, and for the last 3 years, we've been coordinating Homeland Security preparation for the city of Atlanta and the 5 core counties, Cobb, Gwinnett, DeKalb, Fulton, and Clayton. And so we work with their first responders, police, fire, and emergency management to coordinate plans for how we would respond collectively in the event of a major disaster of some sort.
Mm-hmm. Now, how is the ARC funded?
ARC is funded in a very interesting way. We have all of our members, our government members, so we have the city of Atlanta and the 10 counties. So those are our core 11 members. They pay us $1.10 per resident in their counties or their city. And we do a demographic assessment each year, population estimate each year. And so they pay us $1.10 per resident. We use that as matching money for grants we get from different federal agencies and from state agencies, depending on the portfolio.
Now, what kind of authority and responsibility does the ARC have?
So the ARC has very little in the way of authority by law. There's a few things that we actually have authority over. One is whether a city or county's comprehensive development plan meets state requirements, and if it doesn't, then we're obliged to tell the state that as well as the city or county. And if they don't meet those requirements, then they lose their status as a qualified local government, which means they're no longer eligible for a lot of state funding. And then the other thing that we actually have absolute authority over is the Metropolitan River Protection Act. So within 1,000 feet of the Chattahoochee River on either side of the corridor, we are responsible for being sure that any development doesn't violate the rules and regulations set down by the Metropolitan River Protection Act, which was passed in 1971. We actually advise whether something meets the regulations or not. The local government has to take action to decide either to uphold that development or not. If they go against our advice, then it can be a litigated matter.
Okay. So basically, you are like a consulting firm?
We're kind of like, I guess in a way you might say that.
A big, huge consulting firm.
Yeah, because we provide a lot of technical assistance for local governments, their elected leaders and their staffs, in trying to carry out these things, and more importantly, try to coordinate them as much as possible so that the taxpayers' resources are used as efficiently as we possibly can.
Okay. So today we're going to talk about where we are as a city, where we've been, where we're going, what are some of the challenges and opportunities ahead. And the last time you were on the show, it's been too long, Doug. I need to get you back here more often, please. Right. Last time we had 70 cities. Now we have 74 maybe
cities.
75. Maybe.
Potentially 75, but we'll wait to see what happens.
We're growing.
We're growing.
What is the population of the 10-county area? Is it 4.5? 6 million, 4.5, 7 million. Every number of more.
Yeah, the numbers change depending on what you're looking at. Our current 10-county population is about 4.8 million. Okay, that's the 10 counties. Because our planning has to include the 20 counties for transportation, we always look at the 20-county region as well, and that's 5.8 million, close to 6.
Now, does that put us at the number 9th largest city in the United States?
I think we're number 8 now.
Number 8.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. We have a good possibility that by 2030 we'll be either number 7 or number 6 largest in the nation.
And you have a forecast for the population by 2040, I think, is what?
Correct.
What is your forecast?
We're projecting that we will be somewhere between 7.8 and 8 million people in the core 10-county area.
And that's in 22 years.
In 22 years.
We will grow almost 100%.
Almost, yeah. We will be moving the equivalent of 2.5 million people, or metropolitan Charlotte, into the Atlanta region.
Okay.
So if you have any relatives in Charlotte, just tell them to come on down now.
Well, yeah, I know. Better hurry up because they may not find a house. We have so much to talk about, Doug, and we have my producer saying we have 1 minute to wrap up this segment. But when we get back, I'm going to ask you about Amazon.
Okay.
The Gulch.
All right.
South Atlanta.
Okay.
We're going to talk about affordable housing.
Absolutely.
Transportation, education. some of the research that you have
Super.
available on future needs and some of the things that we need to work on. So stay tuned. I'll be right back.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Welcome back. I'm Lou Whelan. We're sitting here with Doug Hooker, Executive Director of the Atlanta Regional Commission. And if you missed any of the show, it's on my website, but he's a former member of the Metropolitan Atlanta Chamber, Emory University Board, Regional Business Coalition, Georgians for Passenger Rail, Georgia Conservative Park and Ride Institute. I mean, on about 30 boards. He's, and graduated from Georgia Tech and Emory, so pretty smart guy. And certainly do welcome his information about the area, observations, and consulting with everybody about how to grow the city and how it will grow. And so, Doug, you said in the last segment that we'll be about 2,000, by 2040, we will be 7.5 million, right?
Oh, almost 8.
8 million.
Yeah.
So where would that put us would that put us in the top 5 cities?
That would probably put us in the top 6 or 7, depending on how the other cities grow. But we projected to probably be top 6 or 7.
So right now we're about 8.
Mm-hmm.
It's the 8th largest city in America.
Correct.
And so I mean, first thing
And by city, I have to be sure I'm clarifying. We're not talking about strictly the city of Atlanta.
Right, the 10 county area.
The region, correct.
Right. So the first question is the Gulch and Amazon. Or is Amazon coming to the Gulch?
I don't know. It's a question everybody wants to know. So if you have an answer, let me know.
You would know first, I know. When you know, let me know, please.
No, I know what all the public speculation is, and the public speculation is it's likely to land in Northern Virginia, but that's
Really?
okay. We always keep hope alive, right?
Yeah, so what about the Gulch, and what is its impact on the metro area?
Oh, the Gulch. For the listeners who are not familiar with the Gulch is the area of the old railroad lines where the city first grew up, near 5 Points. And it currently sits relatively empty. There are no major buildings are there. And it's an opportunity. We now have an opportunity. There's a proposal that a developer has offered the City Council of Atlanta to do a major multi-billion dollar development there that would have a lot of residential, office, and commercial and retail, basically between what people know as Phillips Arena, or now State Farm Arena, and the 5 Points or downtown area. And so a lot of people are very excited about that. Some people are concerned about it, but most people are very excited about that because it's been an area that's been undeveloped for a long time and would, in some ways, as some people say, fill in the hole in the heart of the region. I don't think they proposed this development with only Amazon in mind, because obviously that's a big gamble to bet on just one firm. But there are several other large corporate relocations or growth opportunities that are in play, some of which I'm aware of but I can't discuss, and several that I don't know about.
You could just tell me. I won't tell you.
Well, ask Governor Deal. I think he's the one that knows all of it, and Pat Wilson, our Commissioner of Economic Development. But Governor is very, very bullish on prospects for the Gulch, and in fact, he has sent an encouraging word to the mayor and the city of Atlanta, hoping that they will approve that proposal.
So the Gulch is kind of like, for many years, I took what's called the Path in Newark, New Jersey, over to downtown Manhattan,
correct,
under the World Trade Center.
Yeah,
the World Trade Center was built on something just like the Gulch.
Correct.
So we're not doing anything that unusual. It's just
no, it wouldn't be. I mean, it'd be
normal
unprecedented
kind of
in this region, but it wouldn't be unprecedented in the
Right.
world for sure. Right. So that's something that people can rely on. We're not doing something that nobody's ever done before.
Yeah, it's very normal kind of thing to do. Now, we have 2 votes coming up that are going to change Atlanta quite a bit. One is the vote in Gwinnett County. The citizens have to vote on the extension of MARTA to Jimmy Carter Boulevard from Doryville Station. And the other is the city council will be voting on the Gulch in terms of approving that expenditure.
Exactly, whether to accept a proposal, and along with that, the public funds that would be used as incentives to help support part of that.
So tell us a little bit about the impact of these votes and how it will affect our life in Atlanta. They will change radically our city. Well,
the first one, the Gwinnett referendum that would occur in March 19th of next year, is technically for the voters to approve the Gwinnett County entering into a contract with MARTA. Now, the Gwinnett Board of Commissioners has approved the contract, and they've sent it to the voters for a referendum. And then the MARTA board has also approved the contract. Now it's up to the voters to decide the Gwinnett voters to decide whether to approve that, because along with that would come some degree of taxation as a part of Gwinnett becoming a MARTA member. And one of the projects that would come out of that, but only one of a slate of projects, would be the project you mentioned of coming from extending the MARTA line from Doraville in North DeKalb up to the Jimmy Carter Boulevard area. So that was one project, and probably the largest project, but it's only one of many that would be done by Gwinnett and MARTA in cooperation if the voters approve this contract in March, right? Mm-hmm. So the implications are huge for the region in so many ways. The ARC has been an advocate for trying to extend transit throughout the region for quite some time now in order to give our residents more travel options throughout the region. We think that's actually critically important for us to be a major international city and economy, particularly with so many more people planning to come here or being born here over the next 20 years. And so we're very hopeful, and we were very pleased that the Gwinnett Board of Commissioners voted to approve the contract subject to the voters' approval, and we're very hopeful that the Gwinnett voters will support that. It would be a major, not only physically a major addition to our transit network, but it'll all be symbolically be very important too, because Gwinnett is our second most populous county. And in the next 15 years or so, if current patterns persist, it will be our most populous county. So it's a very important vote symbolically as well as physically.
Yeah, the Nick Messina was on last week, and from who's the partnership Gwinnett, and he was saying that I think by the population of Gwinnett County will double in the next 20 years.
That's correct.
From 1 million to 2 million. So already you can't get down 85. So if you've got to vote for that MARTA, I mean, that's the only way you're going to survive up there, because you'll be able to get on that and go all the way downtown Atlanta, right?
Correct. Correct. Yeah. And we also have another thing, too, and I don't know if you've noticed this, but this year the governor and the legislature adopted legislation to create a state-level agency that will coordinate transit for the Atlanta region. It's called the Atlanta Region Transit Link Authority, or the ATL Authority. Mm-hmm. And the board members for that are due to be fully elected within the next month or two, and by January that agency will be up and running, and they will then begin to coordinate transit investment and planning and operations for the region out into the future, and we're very excited about that. Okay.
So the Gulch, the city council will vote on the Gulch, and they're waiting to. For some reason, they were going to vote, and then it was delayed, and it'll probably be.
Well, they wanted more time for the information. It's at my understanding, it's like a 600-page contract. So they felt they needed more time to be able to work through and understand the details of it, because the challenges are always in the details. Mm-hmm. And as the
devil is in the details.
Well, I just say the challenges. Yeah, I left the devil out.
Polite
My former boss used to say the angel is in the details.
It depends on the glass is half full or half empty.
There you go. But at any rate, as the people's representative, they do need appropriate time to study to know what it is they're voting and obligating the city to in terms of a contract and partnership.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I applaud that, but I hope eventually that it will be approved because I think it'd be a marvelous addition for the city and the region.
So when we get back after the break, we're going to talk about affordable housing. We're going to talk about the south side of Atlanta, which affords tremendous opportunity. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm Lou Whelan, sitting here with my friend Doug Hooker, who is Executive Director of the Atlanta Regional Commission. And we're very grateful for the work that you do and your organization does. And give us an idea of how big, in terms of people, that your organization is. How many people are over there?
Well, our staff without interns is about 198 folks. It fluctuates from day to day. But it runs right under 200 people, and we use a lot of interns. So full staff, we're probably about 220 throughout most of the year.
Okay. So we'd like to talk about affordable housing. It's a word that everybody talks about, but nobody really understands. Not only understands, but knows how to implement.
Yeah, you're correct.
So how do we go about understanding and implementing affordable housing, and why is it so important?
Well, understanding it. A lot of reason why a lot of people don't understand is because it's a very complex subject. As I am learning as myself, as our agency gets more and more engaged with it. But like most things, housing as well as transportation are just basic and fundamental to human habitation. You can't do practically anything in life if you don't have stable housing of some sort, whether that be rental or ownership in different forms. And we are at not quite a crisis level yet, but we are approaching a crisis in this region because largely we have had production of housing has gone down dramatically. And even though it's recovered since the recession, still last year we were less than 50% of pre-recession housing production. And so that means the supply is small, and whenever supply is small, prices go up. And of course, the cost of construction, materials, labor, land is all increased, and all that kind of thing as well. And incomes haven't kept up with the increased growth in income hasn't kept up with the growth in housing prices, and that's exacerbating the problem we're having with affordability. And now, when we say affordable housing, a lot of people get in their mind that we're talking about the traditional public agency housing kind of a thing. But we're talking about the whole range of housing just for new college graduates, for families, working class families. Right now, 52% of households in the Atlanta region don't make enough to afford the average price of a 2-bedroom apartment in this region.
Say that again, please. That's a pretty
52% of residents in this region don't make enough to afford the average price of a 2-bedroom apartment anymore. So,
wow, that's astonishing.
Exactly. And that's why I say we're not at crisis yet, but we're rapidly approaching there if we can't find some way to bring back the imbalance of what people can afford and what's on the marketplace. So it is a critical problem that we're looking to. And, one of the reasons that Atlanta has grown, and Georgia along with it, have grown in the past 30 years is because we were one of the most affordable places in the nation. And that's been one of our competitive advantages. And if we don't get serious about this as a regional community and leaders, we're going to find that competitive advantage is eroded in 10 or 15 years. And we'll be more like some of the places like the Bay Area that are struggling mightily with this issue.
And I read on your website, the Metro Atlanta older population is growing rapidly, and people are living longer. By 2030, 1 in 5 residents will be over the age of 60.
That's right.
And what is that? What are the implications of that?
A lot of implications. I tell folks that we may not realize it, but for major metropolitan areas, we're the most rapidly aging community in the nation.
Wow, I wonder why that is.
Well, largely because a lot of baby boomers moved here in their youth and their young adult years in the 80s and 90s, and now they're living here and they're getting older. So, just like we were fastest growing place in the nation back in those times with the baby boomers, now we're the most rapidly aging place because of that same cohort, of which I'm one of them.
Me too. Right, too, buddy.
So the implications are a lot. I mean, and they're not all negative. We have this tendency to always think of just negative with age, but there's a lot of benefits too. But what we are seeing is one, because of financial reasons, or because of choice, a lot of seniors are staying in the workforce longer, which is making it more difficult for younger people to find good entry-level jobs. That's one thing. But then our housing issues, as we age and our health gets to the point where we need more assistance, or we need housing that is more supportive of our aging bodies, we don't have that supply of housing, and that's a problem. And then, two, we see that increasingly a lot of our seniors are in a financial distress and need more affordability with their housing. So there's a lot of implications about our aging that we need to be paying attention to.
So stay tuned. We'll be right back after the break. We have a lot more to talk about, including transportation again and education, and why our higher education institutions are attracting industry like crazy to the metro area. Stay tuned. Welcome back. We're sitting here with Doug Hooker, Executive Director of the Atlanta Regional Commission, and learning a lot about Atlanta, and so much to talk about. But we want to talk about, I know, Doug, you guys did a survey probably 4 or 5 years ago, whereby you asked the residents what are the key issues. And,
our Metro Atlanta Speaks survey.
Two things came up: education and transportation.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked a little bit about transportation. Yeah. Let's talk about education for a minute.
Happy to. Yeah, that survey that you referred to, Lou, is actually one that we do annually now. Okay. And this is our 6th year. We just completed it, and we'll publish the results before the end of the year. It's called Metro Atlanta Speaks, in which we survey over 5,000 residents in 13 counties, not just 10 counties. And we do that because United Way is a major partner with us in that effort, and they cover a 13-county region. So, and we ask the same fundamental set of questions year over year to ask how people's perceptions and feelings about the region are changing, including how they feel about public education, how they feel about their child's school, what do they see as the region's biggest challenges, how they feel about the economy, how they feel about their personal job prospects, and all things like that. So with regard to public education, I think we've all known it's been a challenge for Atlanta and Georgia in past years, but I will commend many of our state leaders and local leaders that I think we're beginning to turn the corner on that. We still got a long way to go, but there are a lot of things that are pointing in the right direction. And one of those I'll mention is a new initiative that we launched 3 years ago called Learn for Life. And Learn for Life.
When you say we, who?
Yes. The we is a partnership of the Metro Atlanta Chamber of Commerce, the Atlanta Regional Commission, the Community Foundation for Atlanta, and the United Way of Greater Atlanta. So the four of us came together and had conversations with many of our school superintendents several years ago and said, can we think about taking a collective approach to doing this, not each of you doing your own thing, but where we share best practices and learn from each other and borrow the best and try to find good examples of things that are working and try to grow those across all the school systems. And they agree with that idea. It doesn't really cost them a lot other than spending some time and having the people spend some time in getting strategies together on what we're going to focus on. So we did that. We launched it 3 years ago. We now have an executive director for that program who is a former school superintendent himself. So he knows this community well. He knows the topic well. We have 8 public school systems that are partners in this work. We have many companies and a lot of education nonprofits. And the beauty about this is that we're all rowing in the same direction. So now we're beginning to align resources outside of the school systems with the emphasis where the schools want to put their emphasis and need the help. Like I said, it's early on, but it's very promising, and we're really looking forward to down the road how that's going to help improve our children's educational outcomes.
What's the number one priority
in public education?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think each superintendent would have a different look on that. But when we decided what we're going to focus on together first, they decided they want to focus on third grade reading and pre-K. Pre-K because if a child doesn't come to school ready to learn how to read, then they're already behind. Third grade reading because if they haven't mastered reading at grade level by third grade, they're behind for the rest of their school years and probably for life. We know that there's a high connection between children who aren't able to read at third grade and then who fail to graduate high school or have problems in life, either with the correctional system or managing a decent, affordable living. So it's critically important that a child be able to read competently at the third grade.
Well, there are two other things that are important in my mind, and that is safety and also something that I read the other day that totally broke my heart, and that was the young children who come to school on an empty stomach.
Yes.
Cannot afford milk at the milk break. And what can we do to eradicate that horrible, horrible situation?
Well, we there are a lot of things that we have to look at, and part of the beauty of the Learn for Life approach is that it engages all the aspects of community, including people in the health system, people in other aspects of life that help look at different parts of a child and a family and what can we do collectively to try to strengthen those so that children aren't coming to school hungry. And so there's a lot of things we'll have to tackle, and I can't say any one thing, but those are the kinds of fundamental reasons why children can't read by third grade, either because they're hungry or there's trauma at home, instability. A lot of people don't realize that a significant segment of our children, because of housing prices, their parents have to constantly move to be able to find an affordable place. And we have children that will change schools 3 or 4 times during the year, different schools, different school districts, because their families are priced out of where they're living and they have to look for something else affordable. So that kind of instability in the housing market also puts a lot of instability in our education system, and our children bear the brunt of that, unfortunately.
There's no excuse for children coming to school on an empty stomach or not having food available to them to learn. You cannot learn on an empty stomach.
I agree. But
something has to be done to
right, and these are community problems. We have to all own this. We can't expect the school systems to solve all of this all by themselves. They didn't create it all. They can't solve it all. So we have to work on it. It has to be a
number one priority in our city.
I think a lot of people agree with you.
Children are
well fed and taken care of when they come to school.
Safety and have enough food to eat.
Absolutely.
So basic.
And good food.
The most prosperous country in the world, and we have people.
Not snacks and empty calories, but good nutrition. Yes, absolutely.
It's got to be a priority, Doug. I hope we can do something with that.
I couldn't agree with you more.
So stay tuned. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back. We're sitting here with Doug Hooker, Executive Director of the Atlanta Regional Commission. And I'm going to ask you a surprise question that I didn't holding back.
Okay, all right.
And that is, what can we brag about most lately as a city?
Oh, my goodness. What can we brag? There's so many things to brag about. I have the privilege and the honor to travel across this country and across the world. I just came back from Seoul, South Korea 2 weeks ago doing a presentation because they want to know about our Atlanta Beltline. But what people are often surprised about, and quite honestly a little bit jealous about, or envious, I don't know which is the proper description, is that we do a lot. We do a lot of collaboration, and a lot of people don't realize the degree to which community leaders here spend a lot of time talking together, and not just talking, but planning and acting together on regional issues. So I mentioned Learn for Life, and those 4 institutions: a business organization, a philanthropy, social services, and a government representative, all working together for the sake of our children's education. Nowhere in the country is that duplicated. Nowhere. I have the privilege of getting together each month with the Commissioner of DOT, the Executive Director of the State Road and Tollway Authority, the organization that operates all of our managed lanes in the region, MARTA, and soon when the ATL board gets established, we'll have that Executive Director there too. And we talk about the issues about transportation, and we coordinate together. Nowhere else in the nation does that. So I'd say the best thing, there's so many good things about this place, including opportunities for young people and older people alike, for that matter. It's still a place of creation and invention and opportunity. Our universities are just doing an outstanding job educating young people and getting them prepared for life. And a lot of emphasis on entrepreneurship in our universities now. So we have a lot of folks coming out of the university system, starting new jobs, creating new things. We're a place to be reckoned with. We're, as a regional community, we're a force to be reckoned with in so many ways, and a lot of good things here. So I don't know. I can't just pull out one good thing.
The Beltline.
Yes, sir.
Something to be proud of.
Absolutely.
Workforce development progress. Higher high school graduation rates than ever. In the metro area.
Yeah, and throughout the state too. Yes.
In the state.
Yeah, we're seeing improvements. It's small improvements, but we'll take small over nothing, and a lot of optimism for the future there.
So the Amazon, everybody's talking about Amazon. If they do come, a company of that size, it will change a great deal about this.
It would change everything. And I don't mean that to sound hyperbolic, but landing the second headquarters for Amazon, I think it would change it only heightened our reputation as a strong business state and business region throughout the globe. It would spur the number of employees that they're talking about eventually ramping up to over 50,000, would spur everything from housing to retail to education. I mean, there's no aspect of life in this community that won't be improved or challenged, because there's going to be some challenges with trying to absorb that many people as well. I mean, you get that many folks, many of whom earn higher incomes, then that's going to exacerbate a little bit of our housing affordability if we don't find a way to improve that ourselves. So we're going to have to do that regardless of whether Amazon comes. But we want to have Amazon. We want to have those kinds of challenges, because I think we're the kind of region that's up for overcoming them.
The other thing, too, if they come, is that's going to change the entire downtown Atlanta, the way it looks in terms of walkability.
Absolutely.
And entertainment and restaurants. The whole downtown Atlanta will be on fire. I mean, it'll be unbelievable.
Well, downtown's going to change anyway. There's some major developments coming regardless of the Gulch, but with the Gulch too, and if that was Amazon or some other major corporations, it's going to change dramatically for the better over the next 7 years.
Thanks for your service to the community, Doug. You guys are doing fantastic over there, and it's really like guiding a great ship that's doing phenomenal things, cruising across, growing like crazy. It's unbelievable adventure.
Thanks for having me. It's a lot of fun.
Great to
I
have
always
you.
enjoy being with you.
Please come back again much sooner.
We'll do that for sure.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Have a good afternoon.